Have you heard the word assessment? How often you heard words like assessment, tests, examination? If you are hearing it frequently, then you are not the only individual. The entire world is interested in such words. Each individual wants to be assessed in order to know about current status and improve accordingly. Therefore, assessment is getting more and more attention in education system across the globe. However, assessment is very technical concept too, thus one need to understand various aspects of assessment. In this video I am going to talk about large-scale assessment in education. In this video you will find definition and purpose of large-scale assessment. A brief historical development, benefits of participation in international large-scale assessment. Critique on international large-scale assessment in light of recent literature. And future of large-scale assessment. Researchers presented 4 forms of motivations for a country's participation in international large-scale assessment. In rational choice model, countries participate in large-scale assessment with a motive to inform decision-making process, and sustain their reputation in international community. In policy diffusion model, countries are interested to find out effective educational practices and transfer those to other contexts. Countries with a macro dissatisfaction model perceive large-scale studies as bringing attention to a perceived crisis and prompting a focus on education. In financial aid model, countries' motivation may be linked with increase in foreign aids for educational reforms. These 4 models are not stringent approach, rather countries can have multiple motives behind participating in large-scale assessment. Pakistan has, for the first time, participated in TIMSS 2019. This participation helped international stakeholders to know about science and mathematics situation of Pakistan. While it also helped the country to compare Pakistan's quality of education in terms of learning outcomes, with other participating country, and reach international standards. Though the results are not satisfactory, however not surprising. Because various national large-scale studies have also reported similar trends. Then what ways TIMSS participation would help the country to improve the quality? Probably, the international donors may start targeted intervention or provide financial aids for science and mathematics education, based on TIMSS results. Think. What was in this video so far? Think. Yes, you are right, we discussed International Large-Scale Assessment brief history. Purpose of ILSA. Motivation for participation in International Large-Scale Assessment. Strengths of ILSA. So now you think that International Large-Scale Assessment is good? Hold on. See the other side of picture. Now let's have a look into limitations of International Large-Scale Assessment. Large-scale assessments such as TIMSS and PISA primarily focuses on learning outcomes, which is one of the indicators for gauging quality of education. Many other aspects such as quality of classroom practices, parental involvement are yet to be included to draw a comprehensive picture of education system. Curricular contents and learning outcomes that are focused in TIMSS and PISA seems to be specific. However, in reality both curricular content and expected learning outcomes are broad. The easily measurable areas of learning could not help to capture all aspects of learning outcomes. In addition, the prime focus on quantitative method, without considering alternative assessment methods, itself has some limitations which has influence on conclusions drawn from results. Both TIMSS and PISA use universal definition of target population, which has some limitation for the results. For instance, the PISA tests are typically administered to 15-year-olds internationally. Grade levels attended by those 15-year-olds vary greatly within and across countries. Similarly, TIMSS focuses on grade 4 and 8, the course contents of these grades do not necessarily same across countries. The sampling frame used for TIMSS is not inclusive. All eligible individuals in target population are not covered due to resources constraints and contextual realities, thus the results could not represent national score. Taking TIMSS results of Pakistan as an example, the sampling frame does not include out-of-school children as well as children going to religious schools, which is almost equal to the school-going children. Therefore, the TIMSS results does not provide national score but rather results for school-going children only. There are certain validity threats to the results of international large-scale assessments, which limits the results as well. Since TIMSS and PISA tests are administered in various countries having different cultures, therefore, they translate the tests, however this leads to possible translation errors. Similarly, there is also possibility of cultural difference to reading the questionnaire items and making meaning of those. Sometimes the policymakers and researchers make inappropriate interpretation of the results by drawing cause and effect relationships. The critical analysis of international large-scale assessment revealed that it is growing rapidly across the globe and has some positive aspects. However, it helps in standardization of education and making contextual analysis would not be productive and can have negative consequences. Therefore, one to be cautioned for importing any reforms based on international large-scale results. The critical analysis of international large-scale assessment revealed that it is growing rapidly across the globe and has some positive aspects. It helps in standardization of education and can be instrumental for global accountability in the era of globalization. There are three aspects that would contribute to the expansion of international large-scale assessment. The international large-scale assessment has been linked with global educational reforms like Sustainable Development Goals, and is used for accountability mechanisms for these reforms as well as international financial aids. Secondly, there is a global shift towards assessment culture and countries are trying to bring alignment among curriculum, teaching and assessment. This may provide a new avenue of introducing innovative approaches to as well as expanding of large-scale assessment. Thirdly, the expansion of international large-scale assessment score and coverage itself provide us evidence that it is going to be an integral part of global education system. However, international large-scale assessment would also need to address the critique by minimizing the limitation to a greater extent. Now the question is, should we as a country of Pakistan, detach from participating in international large-scale assessment? In my opinion, despite these limitations, the international large-scale assessment has potential to generate evidence related to education, stimulate and inform policies discourse globally as well as nationally. However, we should not only rely on international large-scale assessment, But rather, national large scale is also equally important, and we need to enhance our capacity at national level so that we can draw contextually appropriate conclusion. This would also help to address the possible limitations of large-scale assessment to a greater extent.